So I will just start with an introduction of you. Emily is from Overland Park, Kansas. She is a formal special education teacher and is now a Diamond Emerald Ambassador. She joined her two best friends in Plexus about 5.5 years after being very skeptical for about 6 months. She has an amazing husband, Dan, and two boys ages 10 and 8. One of her secrets to success is loving others and always remembering you sharing is about them and not you. She has grown and learned so much in her journey, and she's going to pour it into all of us, and we can't wait.
Well, you guys, like I was saying, I love retreats so much, and I feel like part of retreats is just really like talking through things, and I want this to be kind of informal. Like, I don't have like some sort of like formal presentation. I want to know where you guys are and like some of the things you might be struggling with, and I can maybe share a little bit about my journey and kind of how I've dealt with some of those things. Because I think sometimes we look at people who are at, like diamonds or whatever, and we think, oh, they've got it all together, but we are all figuring it out as we go. And I have changed and grown as a person so much throughout my journey. And I think that's part of this. In fact, it was funny. I was just kind of, Kate sent me a few, here's some ideas of things to talk about. And I just started kind of making some notes and just thinking through, like, what do I want to share? And I'm on the wrong, here. And a few things just like I just wrote down that I was like, I just feel like I'm supposed to tell them this, and I don't know why. So this is what I wrote down for you guys. Not everyone is ready for the growth required for success in this business, but everyone can take a small step in the right direction when they feel seen and heard. And I think as not only leaders, but anybody in this business, even if you're just sharing the products with a brand new person you barely know, or a friend that's told you no for a long time, the heart of it is to make that person feel seen and heard. And when you do that, then you're able to meet them where they are. I think a lot of times we're so passionate and excited about what we have to share that we're the ones overflowing with information, and we're not taking the time to stop and really hear and see them. So anyway, that was like one of the things that just kind of popped in my head. And then I also write down, when I listen to people and I ask questions constantly, I feel like when I'm talking to a new person or a potential, I'm just tons of questions. I just really want to get a good picture of who they are. In their answers, I hear opportunity, but I need to stay neutral in whether they're ready to take the step or not. And I think that's really, staying neutral is a very powerful thing, because we can get very wrapped up in emotions in this business. And, really everything is neutral until you attach an emotion to it, right? So being really, I guess, like willing to step out of yourself and look into just being neutral. It changes the conversations, and it also takes a lot of pressure off of you feeling like you have to steer the conversation in a certain direction, and you ultimately have to get them to sign up. That has an energy to it in a conversation that can really turn people off. So anyway, I'm kind of going into like, just, I don't know what's on the top of my head, but I want to hear from you guys. Like, what are some struggles? What are some things that, when did you guys get there? Just yesterday? Yeah. This is like the beginning of your retreat.
Yes.
Okay.
Had a big circle and just taught everybody, went around and did their why they started and why they continue and their goals.
Okay. I just love that you guys are doing this. Do you guys do these retreats often?
Every year, same weekend every year.
And is it like anybody can go, or do you have to earn it?
You earn it.
What do they have to do to earn it?
Criteria, TV, number of ambassadors, silvers. We use the same criteria usually, and then they have to buy their plane ticket here.
And you guys cover everything else?
Mm-hmm. That
is amazing. First of all, I want everybody in the room to stop and acknowledge how amazing it is that you're on a team that does something like that. Like, seriously, you guys, I'm really, really proud of you guys as leaders, to put that together, because ultimately what you're trying to do is enrich people's lives when you're introducing them to Plexus, right? And I always think that people think of the products as like changing their lives with the, you know, with their health, and then the business, obviously that financial piece, but this community that we can create, and people feel loved when you do things like this. And they also, I also think that like the people who are drawn to this are just this like high caliber of amazing people. I always tell my team, like, it's crazy the lack of drama that my team has. Like, we just don't do catty fighting drama. Like, we're just all genuinely like, we just love each other. And it's because we do retreats and we spend that time with each other. So, okay, I want to hear from you guys. Tell me something. Ask me questions. What are you struggling with?
If I get someone signed and they leave 30 to 60 days later,
Okay.
I reach out to them weekly and never get anything back. I get ghosted after I sign somebody.
Okay, so we actually just had this conversation yesterday on, I do something called Cultivate Calls, which it's just kind of like small groups. We talk every single week, and I have 4 of them, 4 different groups of like, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 people in each group. And all we do is just kind of like dive into like what happened this week. I mean, it's an accountability group where they have to fill out their worksheets every week and send them to me. But we really just kind of dive into topics like this. And it's so funny because that's exactly what we talked about. The question was, on our Cultivate call, I get somebody signed up and I pre-qualify them, meaning like I actually have that conversation with them is, if you're going to do this, you're committing to that 90 to 120 days, right? You like have that conversation, they're all in, and then there's next shipment supposed to go and they've turned their subscription off and they ghost you, right? You're like, but wait, we had that conversation. What's happening? So what we ultimately got to was that you may have had that conversation with them, but they weren't truly all in, right? And so one of the things, were any of you guys at Align by any chance? No? Oh man, make it to the next Align. I actually piggybacked and made a retreat. I got a huge house for 28 of us. And we all went to Align together, and we just got a 15 passenger van and like had a driver that took us back and forth. But it was phenomenal. Like, I cannot say, I mean, I love Brooke, but I can't say enough about what she's done with these retreats. So anyway, or this, like, whatever it is. Anyway, so there she had a speaker. And the other thing that Brooke does is she brings in incredible speakers that are like not necessarily in the industry, but they have so much wisdom to share with those of us who are in the industry. And Tiffany Peterson was one that spoke. Have you guys ever heard of her? Do you know who she is? She's like a life and business coach. It's so funny. Since we've been on this, since we started this Zoom, the sun is like coming in and it's like shining bright, and all I see is like light. Like, I don't even see you guys anymore, and it's kind of funny. So she shared something that just blew my mind that I think is what answers. I don't know if that's gonna help. It's literally just all I see is the sun. You're trying to fix it. She goes through something she calls 5 gates. So she looks at it as like you walk through these 5 gates with someone to get them into, oh my gosh, so much better. You guys are back. Now I see you. I was like, I mean, it's cool. I'm just talking to the light, but this is better. I like to see humans. So she goes through these 5 gates with them. And as she's explaining this, I was like, gosh, this is like what I do in a way, but I love that she articulates it the way she does, and that she helps you see the value in going through each one of these steps. Okay. Do you want me to go through this with you really quickly? I think it's very valuable. Yeah. Okay. Cause I also have I have a leader on my team who's actually a cardiologist who happened to be at Align with us. And she made a video explaining this too. So I can send you that just so you guys can share it with your teams or whatever. But it's brilliant. Okay. So the first step is, these are all questions you're going to ask your person before they even sign up. Actually, Tiffany says before you even talk to them about Plexus, right? You're going to kind of go through this. The first one is now. That's the first thing you want to know is now. Like, I want a picture of what life looks like for you right now. So I'm going to be asking questions like, tell me what your health is like right now. Tell me what your life is like right now. Where are you out of balance? And then when they answer those questions, dive a little deeper. How is that impacting you, right? So you're just like taking it all in. You just want to ask all the questions you can to get a good picture of where they are right now in their lives. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. You guys are going to be like, your hand's going to start hurting. So get that picture. First thing is now, right? The second gate is dreams. So asking questions around where they want to be. Like questions like, what would you want to feel like? Or if you had more energy, what would you do? And again, you could do this on the product side or the business side. We actually created a little worksheet where we did like went through these 5 gates with all the questioning, and we kind of did like a T chart for the business and for the products, like questions more toward those 2 things. So first, you're trying to figure out where they are now. Then you're trying to learn about where they could be, like and so here's the thing, Tiffany says, that you cannot, oh, can you guys not hear me?
No, we were hearing it, but it was on the laptop, so it was not as good, but we just switched it back to TV.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I hope you guys heard like anything I said. But okay, so she really, the way she put it is, she said, when you tell them something, they'll listen, but if they speak it about themselves, it is gospel to them. Like they have to speak it to really believe it. So I think that's the whole, and what you're talking about there, when you get that commitment from somebody and then they ghost you, it's because they didn't speak their own truth into it. They were just listening to you. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys see that difference? So first is now, asking all the questions. Next is their dreams, ask all those questions. The next one is gap. You're going to help them identify this gap, but you are just asking questions and they are the ones identifying the gap. So the kind of questions you want to ask are, how long has this been an issue for you? And how have you tried to solve it in the past? What kind of things have you done to try to solve this? So here they're identifying, oh, this is how it is now. This is how I want it to be. Wow, there's a difference there, right? And I've tried to deal with it in the past, but it hasn't worked because X, Y, or Z, right? The next gate is commitment. This to me is the most important one. And this is where you really want to like start diving deep into those questions. So you're going to ask questions like, how serious are you about committing to a change? And when they say, oh, like I'm ready, like I want to feel better. I need to have energy. I'm at a breaking point. My marriage is this, I'm not the mom I want to be, whatever. So you get them at a place where they're like, no, I'm committed. Like I want to make a change. Then you say, what prompts you to say that? So you're like really getting them to like, you can't just say yes here. You need to tell me what the why behind your yes here. Right. And then, or like when they say something like, it's time for me to do this because I know that I can be a better mom. Like ask questions like, okay, well, what tells you that it's the time? Like, why do you feel like now is the right time? Right. So again, it's coming from them. And then this is where you're going to like drop some truth telling bombs on them. Okay. This is where you're going to say things like, this isn't a quick fix, like Plexus is not a magic pill. It's going to take time. And sometimes you'll feel worse before you feel better. So this is where you're starting to plant those seeds of like, this is a true commitment. Okay. And then you go into the solution. So at the end, you're going to say, okay, tell me how you see Plexus actually making a difference for you. Then they're going to be speaking their own truth about why, how they're excited, what it's going to do for them. They're the ones dreaming. They're the ones creating this, what their hopes are, right? Then you can talk to them about, okay, these are some options for some products I would recommend. This is how we do our business, and I think you would love it. But do you see how after they've gone through that and spoken their own truth through those 5 gates, they're in a totally different place and receptiveness to this true 90 to 120 day commitment they're making. Does that make sense?
Can you hear me?
What? Yeah. Nope. Not really.
You can't hear me?
Now, okay, you're kind of echoey, but I think I can hear you.
Okay. Why do you think that it's so hard to ask those questions? Because as a sapphire, I would say just about a year and a half ago is when I started getting quote unquote bold. Like you get so excited when someone messages you and they're like, I think I want to start these. Like, okay, let's get you signed up. And you're so afraid to ask those questions because you start asking and you have that fear of them being like, okay, maybe I'm not ready. So like, how do you overcome that so that, because I know all of us here, we have from silvers to senior rubies in the room. And when I was a senior ruby, I was still in that mindset of not being bold, just don't lose the sale. And so how do you overcome that?
So that's kind of a fundamental, like, where is your energy? And Brooke talks a lot about this at Align, that like you cannot create energy. You're able to shift energy, right? And when you're coming at any situation with this energy of, oh my gosh, I don't want to lose the sale, that's a scarcity vibe, right? Like that's like you're clinging and you're fearful of losing, versus that feel the difference between that, I don't want to lose the sale, and I want to look this person in the eyes. I want to hear their voice. I want to get on a call with them, and I really want to help them, and I'm neutral in their decision if they're going to move forward or not. Because I know there's so many other people out there I can help that are willing and ready. So you kind of have to let go of the fear of losing a sale, and you have to step into, I want to help this person. And do you guys see the difference there? And this is one of those things that I tell my team. I did a whole PowerPoint specifically on this topic for my Summer of Silvers retreat this summer. And it's that it's hard to grasp this information, but it's true. And I will tell you it's true through and through. When you let go of that fear of grasping at people, the right people start showing up and it flows. But you have to open yourself up to that. You have to kind of shift your heart posture toward this, like, I'm just going to be here to help people, instead of, oh my gosh, I have to make this goal. I have to get these 3 people because I have to eat you. I have to earn this, this, and this. Like, that's very clingy and scarcity. And you guys, I know the things I'm saying sound so much easier said than done. Like there's a lot of like heart posture shift that goes into what I'm talking about. But I will say a lot of it is rooted in just that unwavering belief that like you really know you're already a diamond. It's just a matter of time. And when you're in that space, you're able to grasp these concepts a little better. When you have any sort of I want to be Ruby. I hope I'm Ruby one day. It seems really far away. I don't know if I'll ever make it, but I really want to be Ruby. That's very different than, I know with every fiber of my being, I'm a diamond, and I'm just going to let this journey unfold, and it's fun, and I enjoy each step. Do you guys see the difference between the 2 things I just described there?
It's so true. Probably a year and a half ago, I felt that shift, and 2019 was hard, but never did I waver and saying, I know God's going to make it happen when it happens. And I feel like we still continue to grow, but now all of a sudden in 2020, I'm like, okay, God, maybe this is the time, and the momentum's back, and like it's just fun. And if you don't ever take the fun out of it, it can be fun during those seasons. And I think what did we do last night? Like just enjoy. Oh, I think it was on the end of your diamond documentary.
Oh yeah, we watched that. We all watched the diamond documentary.
Yeah.
You watched my diamond doc? Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that. They just recently redid it though, right? Did you guys watch the newer one?
The old one. It said have peace in every season, and I just held on to that. And I was thinking about that, like to have peace in every season, because that's why so many people quit. It's the scarcity mindset, thinking they have to earn everything. And I know because I was there, and we've had bad months, and I could have easily been like, this is ridiculous. I'm not winning anything. My points are down, and I'm quitting. But I don't know. I just feel like if you have that peace and you know it's going to happen eventually, it makes you keep going. Yeah. Emily,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, don't you think these 5 questions too would be so good for somebody who says, okay, I want to share, I want to make a bunch of money with Plexus, and we could take them through those same 5 gates about what, okay, so why is this the time, and why is this the season?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. What I did after I left Align was I made call, because you guys, a lot of times in this business, we think, oh my gosh, I'm going through this, I'm going through this. But a lot of times also, there's so many people around you going through the same things. And 2019 was a lot of like, I look at it as like sifting out. We were sifting out those who really are willing and ready to have the growth they need to do this, right? 2020 is a shift into now we're doing it. So you guys are here in 2020. I want you to know that this energy that's coming through 2020, it like amazing things are happening. Just know that like that shift you're feeling is real. Okay. We've got Plexus Perks, you guys. We put the stopper in the leak, right? Perks is changing everything. Right now we've got the 99 welcome packs worth points. Like we have so many things that are just like starting to flow again. And it's just going to start growing and growing. So I want you guys to be excited because this is a very exciting time in Plexus right now. But there was, I know what I was going to say. I have an ambassador who has a very similar story to you. And what was your name again?
Kristen Rogers.
Kristen. Are we Facebook friends? We need to be Facebook friends.
Added you last night.
Okay. I'll go through and make sure we're friends. So wait, what?
I said you might have a pending friend request, so you can accept it.
Yes, I will go in and check that. I probably do. So anyway, I have an ambassador who has a very similar journey to that, and she has had the biggest shift ever when she did a couple things, and she actually did a call for my team yesterday on this. The truly understanding the importance of your mornings and having sacred prayer time in the morning where you have this like quiet before you start your day, where you have this time where you can actually plan out your day instead of feeling like you're always on like the defense, like, oh gosh, I need this. Like I felt for so long, I always felt like there was a fire alarm going off all day long. Like I was always trying to just catch up. Until I made this shift as well. This was the first Align retreat she and I went on together with Brooke, and we learned this and we both took it to heart, and it's changed everything for us, is to just have that time in the morning, that prayer, reflection, meditation, whatever you want to call it, and then plan out your day and really write it out and have that like envisioning of how it's going to go, the flow of it before you start it. Another thing is, I think it was Sarah Marble. Somebody once said that the moment you pick up your phone, you lose your power for your day. And so I do not touch my cell phone until probably 9 a.m. usually. I get up and I have my morning routine, my prayer time, and then I get my kids off to school, sit down, have breakfast with my husband. Like that's the beginning of my day every day. It's very like calm. And then my day goes really smoothly because I know exactly what to expect. I know exactly what's coming. Right. So that's a huge shift. The other one is, finding the joy. And Christy Jex, if you guys are not Christy Jex fans, you need to be following her on like Facebook, Instagram. She's just amazing. And she's all about finding the joy. And one of the first things she does at Align is has us all write down 15 things that bring joy that cost money. Like getting a mani, getting a pedi, like whatever it is, going to the movies, like going out for a coffee with a friend, like 15 things that cost money, and then 15 things that bring you joy that are free. Going for a walk, meditation, yoga, prayer, whatever it is, eating ice cream, like whatever. So you write down the 2 lists of 15 and then really think about like how many times a week am I doing these things? How many times a day am I doing these things? And start like when you're planning your day, making sure you're putting those things in your day, right? Those things that bring you joy. And so anyway, this ambassador of mine, she's a jewel, and she had lost her joy in this business, and she felt like that, like graspy, stressful, whatever, about her continuing to hit rank and all that stuff. And it wasn't fun anymore. And she realized that when she had to stop and really analyze herself, like in the beginning when it was fun, what made it fun? And for her, it was events. She loves events. She loves people. She loves the like community and all that. So that's what she did for like 2 or 3 months. All she did was events, like all the time. Her team came back to life. They had a blast together, and everything for her entire business has changed. And she's had this huge shift, and she's just loving it. She has not hit the rank that she was going for, and she's totally cool with it because she's having a blast. She has no doubt she will hit that rank. I have no doubt she'll hit. I know she's a diamond. She just isn't there yet because she had to learn some of those things going through it. So there's just so many, that whole seasons thing is so real. And the other thing is to not beat yourself up when you're in a certain season. I have a business coach that I worked with, because when I moved back to Kansas 2.5, almost 3 years ago, I guess, I was diamond silver. And I hired a business coach to help me, and I went diamond emerald during that time. And one of the things she helped me understand was, like, sometimes you just have to kind of like be in tune with like what feels good right now, what you're supposed to be doing. Like you can shift and like get amped up, but a lot of times if you just, okay, this is the best way to describe it. Have you guys ever like had a pile of laundry that's sitting there and you're like, I need to do that laundry, but all you want to do is like sit on the couch and watch your favorite show? You're like, I just want to watch The Housewives, but I feel like I need to do that laundry. I should be doing the laundry. And then what you do is you sit on the couch, you're mad at yourself because you're not doing the laundry. And then you can't even enjoy the show that you're trying to watch because you're beating yourself up because you should be doing the laundry. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Okay. There is a time for you to sit on the couch and enjoy your show. And when you stop and say, this brings me joy, I really want to sit and watch my show, and I know I'm going to get that laundry done, but right now I'm going to enjoy this. You sit and you enjoy your show and you smile and you don't even think about the laundry. You're in a place of joy, right? Then have you guys ever had that like, oh my gosh, I have to clean my whole house. I just feel like cleaning. I just want to clean. Okay. Like that's when you get all the stuff done. So my whole point in saying this is your business is like this. Sometimes you need to take a rest. Sometimes you need to not do IPA that day, or maybe that hour, or whatever it is. You need to just hang out with your kid, play a game, watch a movie, and then feel peace about doing that. Because the whole point of doing this business is to have freedom. So if you're beating yourself up constantly because of what you should be doing, then you're not creating any freedom. In fact, you're creating like a scarcity prison, like stress thing. And that's not what's going to bring the energy to help you bring more people into this, right? But then when you get that like, oh my gosh, I want to hit this goal. I feel like I can go silver right now. Like bring on the people. Like I'm going to do all these reach outs. Like then do it. Don't sit back and be like, oh, that seems like a lot of work. Like, no, when you're in the mood to do it, do it. When you're not in the mood to do it, honor that. And then don't beat yourself up. That was a really, really long way of explaining that. I hope you guys understand what I was saying.
That's good.
All right, more questions. Throw it. Let me have it. Come on.
I have a question, and I don't think nobody here has heard this yet, but so I had like my big why was to be able to remodel my kitchen, and so that was like a big thing for me, and I saved all my money and I remodeled my kitchen, and I went emerald in June. It'll be 3 years, and I feel like I kind of just got complacent with where I'm at. Like the income's good. I'm happy. I have that freedom, but now I want it. Like I want my team to be able to feel what I feel and have this freedom. But I feel like I'm just at this, like I'm happy. I'm in management mode. I'm fine with where I'm at, but I want more for my team. But I don't know how to get back into that and get them going because I've kind of backed off. So then they backed off because the speed of the team is the speed of the leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That, and you start, I can identify with this more than you would ever believe. Like I feel like I could have said that exact same thing, right? And so I've had to kind of figure out like, because what happens to me is I get to a point where I'm like, I'm comfortable, I'm living, I have every like wife dream I've ever had. I mean, like my husband's retired, you guys. Like we literally live this dream life. It's amazing, right? But I can't teach my team to recruit, and as things are changing, and you know, technology is changing, social media is changing, all these things are changing, and I can't just not continue to actually personally recruit. So I can't identify with what they're going through, the challenges they're going through, right? So I've had to stop, and so identify that, number one, just say I actually can't. Furthermore, there's so many people who need this and who need me to be the one to share it with them. And so I feel like I've just had to be like, okay, so this is who I am now, right? This is Emily. But who would Emily 2.0 be? Like, who's Double Diamond Emily? What does she do? Like, you almost create like an avatar for like the diamond or the ruby or the whatever version of yourself. And then everything you do as you're planning your day out, you think, is that what Emily 2.0 would be doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope all of you guys, even as silver ambassadors, can identify with that. Like, what does Ruby Michelle do? Like, what does, you know, like, what does her day look like? And where does she spend her time and energy? Where are her thoughts? Where is her mindset? Because to step into that person that, and I feel like that 100% when I went diamond, I remember like thinking like, I am a diamond, therefore I am this person that I was not at the time, but I identified with this person and I got there. So you almost have to do that again for yourself, because that kitchen remodel and this income that you have right now and the fun you're having and the like comfortability and management mode is all fantastic and there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't think it's going to get your leaders to the next level until you're ready to step up into Kate 2.0 and identify who she is.
Yeah. Hashtag Kate.
I love that.
Is that helpful?
Emily, I have a question.
Yeah.
Since Super Saturday and the company kind of getting back to all this simplicity of systems, do you feel like your team has made an intentional shift to eliminate certain things or take on certain things? Has that changed anything for you guys since 2020?
Yeah, we've had a lot of changes since 2020. Like my team is, I mean, every team is unique. I mean, you guys have a really unique situation where you guys are like, your nearest diamond is so far, you guys are like self-made, you know, you're figuring out, which I think is beautiful because you get to make it what you want it to be, right? And I feel like that's how I was in the beginning. I didn't have strong leadership above me. I just was like, we joke that like my team is like made up, like I was a teen mom because I was a brand new ambassador when I had like, I shouldn't say brand new ambassador. It took me a little while to like get the ball rolling in my own personal business. I had all these big dreams and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a diamond. It's going to be easy. Right. And then it was like crickets for 6 months. Everybody thought I was insane. Because my network was in Kansas. So I lived in Texas where everybody was doing plexus and it was like, where are you guys all from?
California. California is where the team started, but we have Oregon, Idaho, Wisconsin, Colorado,
And Texas.
and Texas.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So yeah, so maybe you guys can identify with that. But for me, like nobody in Kansas had even heard of plexus. I mean, this was 5 years ago. So anyway, by the time, it was about 6 months in that I finally had people jump on, and I had 4 rock star, like dream teamers jump on the same month. And we just kind of like figured out what like we created whatever. And the coolest part was the 4 of them became best friends. And they pretty much still are to this day. My sideline relationships are extremely close knit. So anyway, that's been a huge blessing, but we just started kind of creating what we wanted. Well, then Bob Heilig came onto the picture, and a lot of them started creating these systems. And at that point, most of them were jewels. All of them were jewels. And so they kind of created their own systems, and they were doing similar things, but you know, I don't know. I'm making this way too long of a story. But anyway, the point is I felt lost. And I want you guys to hear this because this might happen to you where at some point you're like, I don't know what my role is anymore. I have these strong ambassadors under me and I'm not sure what value I have to add anymore because they're amazing. And you guys, that's what you want. You want to sign up people that are better than you because I've done that beautifully. My leaders are amazing. Like, cannot say enough about them, right? But it does leave me sometimes in this place of like, I don't know what my role is. So you have to kind of find your own, like, what is it that you're good at? And they were really good at like online events. You guys, I suck at online events. They were all doing the like Brooke Hemingway type, like IPA challenges and 3-day challenges and all the things. And so what I figured out my niche was that I felt like strength in was retreats and training, doing things like this. So that's what I did. And they appreciated me pouring into them in that way. But what happened was, they all felt like they were putting so much time and effort into their IPA challenges and their 3 days and all that stuff, but their teams are smaller and they weren't getting a ton of people engaging in those and all of the things they were putting all this hard work into. So basically, since literally this started at Align in January, we kind of decided that like, what if we all came together and had my assistant do all of the IPA challenges and all of the 3 days, and we all came together as a huge team. And so then we created things like we do Friday, every Friday we do Jewel Takeover. In fact, Jessica Radke's taken over my IPA page right now, and Power Hours. So anyway, we started to get really creative and like so fun. But this is the first time literally ever, I think, that my entire team is rowing together the way that they are, using the simplicity and the energy of bringing a lot of people in and not making everyone do all the work. So I hope that answered that question. So for me, that I guess, I don't know, it might just be unique with where my team is right now, but we're all just kind of coming together for the first time ever.
Yeah, I really feel like the simplicity thing is, it's so exciting and so duplicatable, and that we can all feel that energy like, okay, this isn't confusing. It's not impossible. You don't have to be in 15 pages and read, through 10 paragraphs to know how to do this, that it's just these few little things, and that once we don't feel overwhelmed, then our other people don't feel overwhelmed either.
And I think when we feel like it's too easy, then we're not doing something right, because we all expect this to be super hard. And I feel like that's what happened. Like when Kate went Emerald and I went Sapphire, and we had all, like, we weren't doing all kinds of things. We were just being us. And I feel like sometimes when we're slow, I feel like, oh, I need to do this. I need to schedule IPA. I need to do another Zoom. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it's just the season that we're in. And it's okay that it's easy and we're growing. Like, we're here and we're still growing. And I think we forget that. We need to remember that this is not and it's about freedom too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And sometimes we feel like we have to just work harder, and that's not necessarily what we have to do. For me, it's stopping and being quiet and really being intuitive to what does my team need right now? Like, what can I do? And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's like a little thing. What right now would be the most helpful thing for my team? And the other thing, I think sometimes it all comes down to that comparison thing. But we do like oh my gosh, they're doing this, we should do this. They're doing this, we should do this, and you're like chasing constantly like all these different things. And you're not even stopping and saying like, what value can I add? I don't know.
Align, and how do we get there?
Wait, what?
What, you can explain Align? Okay.
Okay, yeah. Align is, it's Brooke Hemingway. She'll explain it, but yeah, it's Brooke Hemingway. Just puts, you guys, the thing about Brooke is she's such an extreme example of like stepping into that intuition and going with it and not letting fear take over. And when she does that, you see how many people it impacts. I mean, Align was, I'm sure that was really scary for her to do the first time. And then the second time, it's like, within the same, like 12 months, it was in August was her first one. And then she did the second one in January, and she's got another one already scheduled for January 2021 in Palm Springs again. So yeah, I totally recommend it.
I have a question for Leah, and Leah, you can add to this, but we had chatted a little bit before we came. And in Leah's case, she grew super, super fast. Like within a couple months, she earned 2 shopping sprees at Leaders Retreat for her husband. And I think she's groovy.
I know.
And this all happens so fast. And sometimes we don't understand, like, people get stuck at silver for so long and then they grow and they learn so much. But I think in Leah's case, like, she's groovy and now she's ready to like learn the bigger picture. So what would your advice be for her? And Leah, if you want to add anything, I just wanted to.
Hi, I'm Leah. That's, you put it well. I just wanted to, I just now understand that this is a business. This is a beautiful thing. So, but I feel like I'm so stagnant. And I'm recently reaching out to Kristen and Kate to to be honest with you, I've never even written in a planner. I have one, but I've never written in it. I just need to hone in on my organization skills and just a nice little system. And then I'm ready to get back out there, and now let's make it a business, because I have several people on the product. But the way I started was I actually tried the product, didn't even tell anybody. So that's kind of how I was sharing it with people. And that's a lot of their mindset is, I want to try it and see what it does for me. I'm going to do like you did. But now I'm like wanting to talk to these people about, here's you can really make some money at this. You just share it with people. But I don't want to come off salesy. I don't want to come off like that's my motive now, because when my heart switches to that, then I'm doing it for the wrong reason. So that's kind of basically where I'm at. But I'm ready to, I know I'm a diamond. So I'm ready to reach for it.
Yeah. And you have that unique, it is funny, isn't it? Like I had this conversation the other day with people that were like, there's 3 or 4 people on my team like that started off and they just blew up, but they couldn't like follow up and actually really take good care of their people because there were too many of them. And then they just feel like they kind of all flushed away and they're left with just a few. And they're like, what happened? Wait, I can't do it all over again. Like they feel like stressed about it. So that is, I find that interesting. Like you were saying, I think it was Kristen. You can't see who's talking, but I assume it was Kristen, how like everybody's journey is just so unique and different. And there's so much to learn. And, wherever you are, it's exactly where you're supposed to be. And you're learning the lessons you're exactly supposed to learn. I will say, and this is just something I've had to learn over the years, is I am not a super organized person. I used to be a special ed teacher. And when I was a special ed teacher, I always had a spiral notebook that I kept all my lesson plans in that were just written the way I wrote them for each student. And then I had my grocery list, my kids' birthday list, like everything was always in a spiral notebook. And I was like you a little bit once I kind of blew up. Mine was a little bit delayed, but once it blew up and everything was crazy, I was like, I need a system. Maybe I should make spreadsheets. And so I tried to make spreadsheets. I tried to do apps. I have to do IPA. So I tried to create all these systems. And ultimately, you know what I learned? Spiral notebook is the way I work. Like I still to this day, everything is in here. My IPA, my trainings, my follow-up, my brainstorming, everything I do is still in a spiral notebook because that's what works for me. So I think like honoring what works for you and not feeling like you have to change it because it works, like this app works for everybody else. Like do whatever works for you. But as far as what do you feel like is the biggest struggle right now? Is it that fear of people judging you for taking this shift into getting excited about the business?
Absolutely not. I'm and I still have the mindset that I can talk about Plexus to anybody because I go back to how it has changed my life. So I'm a believer 100%. So if it didn't work for you, there's haters out there and it and I hear it. It didn't work for me. I'm glad it's working for you. Okay, next. I'm not even going to entertain you.
Yes.
That's not even an issue for me. But I don't know. The more I sit in on our Zoom calls and this, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a brain fog for me, but I just can't hone in on an organization system that even I can't even explain it. I'm sorry.
What do you feel like you need organization for? For follow-up and reach outs?
Maybe, or, you know, I have like 100 and, I don't know, 125, 150 people, you know, under me. And so I feel like I have this huge, like, and only at this point right now, probably only 75, 80 active.
Okay.
Because turn off their subscription, but then some of them, you know, they keep their subscription off, but they still order here and there. So not every one of them are off of the product.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that kickstart to, okay, now I want to introduce them to the business, but I don't know the right verbiage. I don't know. That's basically what I want. And I have several different categories. I have some that I already know don't want to do the business. And then I have some that, that I would like to introduce to the business. So maybe we can just start with there. How do I get the people that I know are having success with the product? Maybe this will help my momentum. So if we can just give me some verbiage that I've never introduced the business part to them, but I can introduce that part to them. And I know that they've had success with the product, but how do I introduce them? The business part?
Well, I'm a huge fan of one-on-one conversations. Like that, I'm face-to-face girl, and I'm, you know, one-on-one. So I think it simply starts with how, like, I always start with positives, how, like, getting on a phone call with them. How are the products going? What changes have you noticed? You know, and then start asking, it's all about asking questions. Has anybody else noticed? You know, like, what does your husband say? What is, you know, like starting those, like, well, yeah, my friends at work were all asking me, you know, or whatever, like having them start to, like, and then simply saying, like, would you be open to sharing and just telling other people about Plexus? And it really is that simple to just start the conversation there. Brooke Hemingway has a little document that we're actually kind of using that goes through that. Of course, she suggests you do these conversations as you're signing them up. But it's basically like, are you willing to share? And then if they say yes, you go down these steps. If they say no, you go down these steps. But they're both steps, yes and no, are both ultimately leading them toward sharing.
Gold Mastermind?
Yeah. One of our girls has this paper right here.
Has what?
One of our girls actually had that form with her.
Yes, it's fantastic. But the other thing you can do, just because you kind of have a unique situation with, you've got this pool of people that are already have enough buy-in that they're taking the product, it's just that belief building. Doing maybe an online event where, did you guys hear about Emily Roberts' event that she did? I just reached out to my Jules last night. I'm like, we have to do this. This is so cute, you guys. She had an online event where, or I don't know if it was a Zoom or whatever, where she had people print out their before pictures and hold them up so that you could hear them talking, but all you're looking at in the screen is the before picture, and they're telling their story, and then they take the picture down and you see them after. I just thought that she said they had, like, did you guys see that on the Jewel page? Oh my gosh, she went live and she's like, you guys, this changed my entire business. Like, her team is blowing up from these events. So something like that. And I'm thinking about that for you specifically, because, or not even you specifically, for everybody, because when you guys have an event that brings everybody together and you're all sharing your stories, and you're bringing in current ambassadors who maybe are just wholesalers, and they're hearing these stories, it is human nature to hear a story and immediately start analyzing people you know that remind you of that story, right? And the best is to plant that seed. I will never forget the first event I spoke with Sarah Marble at. That was the first thing she stood up and said. She said, you guys are going to hear a lot of things tonight, and as you're listening, I know you're going to be thinking of people. So just setting that up for that, saying like, I know you're going to be thinking of people, then share, having them jump into this event, hear people's stories in a powerful way. And then that follow up of, did it make you think of anyone? And just start there. I think sometimes we think too many steps ahead. We just have to take that first step of, who did you just think about, and who do you know that we can maybe help with this? And then, are you willing to put up a post? What if I gave you verbiage and just sent it to you? Would you be willing to post that on Facebook and see if anybody else is interested, you know?
You know, in the, when I first started Plexus, I, you know, just like a lot of people started with wanting weight loss. That happened for me right away. Well, I have so many, and that's the way I shared it was, you know, I'm a hairstylist, so I have access to a lot of people. And getting a lot of my ambassadors on with the idea that they were going to lose weight. Well, several have fallen off because
expectation.
I did. So how do you share with a new ambassador? How do you share the product now? You know, because I mean, you can't share it as I need to change my verbiage because I can't make it all about weight loss. So how do you share it?
Well, I do a lot of kind of like what we talked about in the 5 gates. I'm constantly learning about people and figuring out what they are struggling with, and just seeing if Plexus might be a good fit for a solution for them, and then helping them see that that's a possible solution. But the other thing, here's the problem with the weight loss thing, because I have a girl that's so similar to you. She's Ruby now, which, oh my gosh, same story. She had incredible weight loss, so did her husband. And then people's expectations just went, zoop, you know, and then they all started, they didn't get that weight loss they were looking for as quickly as she did, so they're all out, right? What they didn't realize is that there were all these little subtle things that were happening with they weren't as bloated, they're sleeping better, they have more energy, they're waking up refreshed, but they weren't seeing those things because they were focused on one thing, weight loss. So that's a huge key, is to help people. And that's what follow-up is so important. Like, what are you seeing? Like, what are the little things you're noticing? And it's really just about having those conversations and continuing to have them identify those other little wins.
Thank you.
I know, you guys, I'm going to have to head out in a minute. This was so fun. I want to go to corporate with you guys. Were you guys like doing a training at corporate? What are you doing?
We're going to go to the store first, and then we have a tour of the warehouse, and we get to do the drawing with them, and then Carl and Alec will be talking to us and stuff. So, awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wait, who's been to corporate before? Have you guys ever been?
Yeah,
Half. I feel like your belief just skyrockets.
Yeah.
Being there.
It's very exciting. And it's exciting to have like the silvers. We have people that just joined in July here that earned this retreat. They didn't even know that they were.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope I helped. I feel like I just rambled a lot, but I really appreciate you guys inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Will you guys do me a favor and come give me a hug at convention and be like, I was at the retreat? Yes. Group hug. Yeah?
One thing real quick. Can we get everybody together and take a picture?
Yeah.
Because I look awesome.
Hey. A lot of us are in slippers and pajamas too.
I love it.
You might have to hold like up there.
Am I like on a screen somewhere? I don't even. I'll see your back.
She's like, I just see your back. No, she'll be up there. I think.
Yeah, I'll be on the big screen.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Have so much fun.
Thank you. Okay, stop recording.